Today guest of OPOstories from the NBA is Sam Perkins. Thank you very much, Sam, for the time for our channel. It's not your first interview for the Polish NBA fan, and am I right?
Right. Yeah, I've been there I've been there once, and I had several interviews from there.
Okay, as I remember, last year was Karl from Karl movie in the Paris.
In the what?
Last year, as I remember, was Karl from Poland. You met him in Paris.
Yeah. Yes.
Sam, I would like to start with that in 2018 you were in Poland. It was a Special Olympic European Basketball Week, and it's initiative that are also the other NBA legends like Dikembe Mutombo or Yao Ming. What is the most important for you with helping other people, especially in this event?
Well, first of all, the Special Olympics has a variety of people representing its organization, and from actors, movie stars, high-profile CEOs, and within all that circle, they have NBA support a great deal from all the teams. The teams like Portland, LA, the Clippers, Milwaukee, they all have special events for Special Olympics because they take pride in advocating for those with intellectual disabilities. So the reason I say that is because the Special Olympics noticed that myself and Dikembe and Yao Ming have all done charitable work for the Special Olympics and spoke highly, and it was very visible to what we did. So they asked us to join and have a kind of a connection with the NBA to give more people a platform to see what the NBA does other than just play basketball for entertainment. So supporting the Special Olympics with our presence there gives other people, people like in Poland or other countries, that a platform to talk and and see players do work outside of what they normally do. So it was a great connection, a good thing that Yao Ming is there from China, and it gives a broad perspective of how all of us do in our respective countries.
Mm-hmm. And even after you finish your NBA career, you are still close NBA, and it's your journey with NBA started in 1984 when Dallas Mavericks picked you with 4th overall pick. After great academic career, you were ACC Rookie of the Year in 1981, won championship with Tar Heels in 1982, and the readers of my fan page on the Facebook, Daniel and Jakub, asked me to ask you the question how it was to play with Michael and James Worthy. How do you remember this cooperation?
Well, in college, we had a team that we had a good team, and at the time, while playing, you just don't know how good you are, because we let other people and other experts tell you how good we are. And James Worthy was my roommate at the time in '82, and Michael came as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And so our practices were very hard, very competitive, and Coach Dean Smith at the time, our coach, was very astute about playing defense. So, I mean, it was a relationship that everybody bought into because points. It's just that we had something bigger than that. And we wanted to make sure that we played the best to our abilities and incorporate everybody's strengths. We had weaknesses, I'm sure, but we were so into Carolina pride that we just wanted to win every game. And as you can tell, teams came after us every night. So if they did beat us, it was like their own little championship. So they would rush the floor, they would, do things that they act like they just won a national championship if they beat Carolina. So that's how intense it was there. But it was also fun competing because we had guys like Michael and James Worthy and supporting players, Kenny Smith, Jimmy Black, all these guys that gave us a well-rounded team.
And did you expect that MJ will be such a great player in the NBA? Because of course he was the top prospect in the 1984 draft. But from your perspective, when you played with him in North Carolina, did he looks like a GOAT?
No, we didn't expect what he did in the NBA. How he was or how he is today, as remembered. But we were young kids, and he brought his personality and ability, competitiveness to the court, and was very very agile and very quick to do what he did in college. So with all that said, he's very talented, but we saw some glimmers, but the way he came out of college and played in the NBA, no, we didn't see that in college because he just took off to a different level. His competitiveness and drive was even more stronger than it was in college.
Once I talked with Alvin Robertson, with whom you played, for example, in national team, and he mentioned that from his perspective, you were even higher in this rating than MJ. And when we look at this United States men's Olympic basketball team, you were co-captain. Was it easy tournament? Because the toughest game was against Federal Republic of Germany, and you won, let's say, called it only by 11 points.
Right. Well, that was the year that we had. So to set it up, that year we had to try out for the team, and we had 75 guys try out, and there were a lot of names that were there. Johnny Dawkins, Charles Barkley, Pat Ewing. A lot of guys were there trying to compete, and so when they narrowed it down to the 12, it was still a good team.
Mm-hmm.
But we went into the tournament or the Olympics, hoping that we would, being that we were in LA, that we were the favorites. But I remember there were teams like Germany, Canada, and they were ready to go at us. Germany was probably the most skillful team, gave us a good run because they all, remember what I said, they all tried to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they beat us, it was like their championship before the championship. So Germany came close, winning by 11. Were we happy? Yeah, we were happy we won, but we didn't play as well as we should have because they did some things to us at the time that, we didn't have any flow or continuity. We had to be saved by buckets, and every time we scored, they would find a way of scoring. So Germany at that time was very good. Even before, they were a good team. The teams that I always watched from international was Brazil, Germany, Argentina. These teams were always going to come up, but they had talent because their guys were already pros. playing in the Olympics, but they had other jobs. They were older than us anyway. So we played against men sometimes, but at the same time, yeah, Germany gave us the strongest game, as you can tell. But all teams were competitive, and they just wanted to beat the USA.
You mentioned about playing against older men, older players, and after Summer Olympics, you joined Dallas Mavericks. What were main differences between college and professional basketball?
Well, college is amateur for sure, and the only difference is that the experience. When you're playing against older players, they got 2-3 years on you, and within that 2-3 years, 4 years, you and if you're playing all the time, you gain that experience. You gain more knowledge about the game. When you're coming into college, remember you're coming from high school, and you're just learning to adapt to college ways, drills, timing, plays, cuts, rebounding, how to do this, how to box. I mean, all kinds of things, how to run the floor. Whereas somebody who's been playing like Luka Doncic, he, as you can tell, he's a step above everybody else and knows how to be savvy. And so when you're playing older, you're more savvy, and you may see things that a college player may not see or know, but he does it better, and that's what Germany did. They did things a little bit better than, or older players did it a little better than we did at times.
You played in a team with two great scorers. One, it was Mark Aguirre, second, Rolando Blackman, both all-star players. And did they and how they help you to improve your offense skills? How do you remember the cooperation with them?
The who?
One was Rolando Blackman and second Mark Aguirre. Sorry for pronunciation.
Yeah. At the Mavericks?
Yes.
Yes, so Rolando was a good player, good guard, he could shoot. He was very determined to almost hit every basket, every shot he made. He wanted to make it. And I came there as a rookie, and he was already there, and he was just getting his career started in a sense. I think he was in his fourth year or something like that, but third or fourth year. But those two were Dallas Maverick players, because Mavericks started in 1980. And they were the two highlighted players, like they would highlight Curry and Clay of today, or the Giannis or Harden. They were the superstars of the team back then. And being that we were so young, I came into a program or team where we had no identity as of yet, because we were in Dallas. Remember, we're in Dallas, and they got other teams here, like the Dallas Cowboys.
That's right, NFL.
Football. So football was bigger than basketball at the time. But we were on stage and ready to come up to show Dallas that we have a basketball team. But we always was going to be second to the Cowboys because they just had a bigger entity. But one thing for sure about Rolando and Mark, that they were two high-profile, skilled players, and I just came in to just learn as much as I could and do the things I did from the college ranks to the Olympics, and try to just do whatever I was supposed to do. Coach Mata was my coach at the time, and he was just telling me to just be yourself and fit in, and that's what I tried to do my rookie year.
You played after Dallas in Los Angeles Lakers again with your teammate from North Carolina, James Worthy, in the team with Magic Johnson, Byron Scott. You were close NBA championship, which stole your other friend from North Carolina, and your 3-point shot helped Lakers to win first, and as it turned out, the only game. Was it the best shoot in your whole career from today's perspective?
Well, that team really made a big difference for me. I learned a great deal. I was a free agent, left Dallas, and things were okay in Dallas. But when I got to LA, my career changed because LA was probably known worldwide, overseas. We went to France, Paris one time, and there were more Laker fans than anybody I know. I couldn't believe it. And so you were more visible because you had players like you just mentioned, Byron Scott, James Worthy, Magic Johnson. And again, I took whatever I knew from what I just did in Dallas, and you was on a stage even bigger, and you had to perform at a level every night because everybody wants to beat LA. And again, if you beat LA, you did something. So with Magic at the helm and with their reputation and the things that they've done over the years, winning championships, I was in a dogfight every night with the Western Conference, but it shaped me to be a better player and better mentally because I was focused almost every night to play hard and do well to support the players that you just mentioned, Magic, because Magic came to play every night, so did Worthy and Byron Scott. So these were prolific players, and I had to just kind of adjust and, again, do what I was told to do and try to be effective.
And you mentioned that it was also still the time when the other teams want to beat LA, and how it was to be a part of this Showtime Lakers team on the decline of their glory, because it was still Lakers with Magic Johnson, but it beginning the era of Michael Jordan and the other younger team.
Well, it was still Showtime, right? It was always Boston and LA all the time. And remember, at that time, Michael was in Chicago, and he had to worry about Detroit always defeating him. So every time that Detroit defeated the Bulls, they gave more opportunity for Lakers and Boston rivalry to continue. But as you said, the Bulls were coming up. Detroit was on a decline. Younger teams were getting involved now. But it was always either LA or Chicago or some. It was always LA. I don't know who came out the West all that much, but or Portland or Detroit and Boston, things of that nature. So the league was just trying to find itself. All those other teams like the Knicks, the Nets, Milwaukee's, the Orlando Magic, wherever Shaq was, the Kimbe, Atlanta, with Dominique Wilkins. All these guys were trying to find their identity. And all of a sudden now, you had teams coming in like Golden State, Houston, with Olajuwon, trying to make a big difference. So the league was changing, but at the same time, it was still strong with LA and Boston's presence because of the fact that they were always strong at the end, and they had great teams, coaches as well. So it phased out a little bit, but you couldn't count out the Lakers or Boston because they had experience and they had a reputation of getting to the finals all the time.
Your next team, Seattle SuperSonics, and when I look at the roster with you, Gary Payton, Detlef Schrempf, Sean Kemp, Hersey Hawkins, and remember how you played in the mid-90s, and it was also the beginning of my story, my journey with the NBA. I'm not surprised that you were in NBA Finals, but again there was Michael Jordan, and when I prepared to the interview, I also asked my readers, they've got maybe some question to you, and Laszlo asked me, show me something that you lost 3 times in NBA Finals with 3 different teams, and every time it was Phil Jackson team who beat you, and Jerry West didn't want to wear anything green after his experience with Celtics. And did you have the same trauma with Coach Jackson?
No, not really. It just happened to be Phil Jackson all the time. But so I lost to them. I lost to them with the Bulls, and then I lost. Well, I was with LA at the time. Then I lost with them with the Sonics. But the thing is that, and then I lost with them at Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And that when I saw him in Indiana, we was, they had just won, and I was crossing the ready to go back off court, to avoid their celebration. He looked at me and I looked at him like, yeah. He raised his eyes and smiled. He said, "What can I do?" So I mean, that was our that meet and greet for that time. Like, he defeated me again. So, but yeah, I had, it was always Phil Jackson or somebody of his team, and his team, rightfully so, beat us because of the fact they had more. Like, again, they had more experience than some teams that going for their first time to the finals. Indiana finally got out of the East, and their limits was the New York Knicks or Chicago,
mm-hmm.
and they could never get over that hump. And I was fortunate to go with them to the finals because they had Reggie Miller, Mark Jackson, Rich Smith, the Davis brothers, Jalen Rose. They finally got over the hump. And then when we get there, LA was just too strong for us, and we had some mishaps, some misfortunates, and they had the experience, and that goes to show you that you can't take anything for granted. But it was a good run, but a lot of teams don't get to the finals, but we were trying to win it, and I've been there several times before that, and I knew what it was going to take, so we just didn't have it. But credit to those, like, that's why I said you can't count Lakers out. Teams like that, because they have so much experience going into the finals, just like the NBA finals, just like LA has it now.
Mm-hmm. Which from those 3 NBA finals was toughest from your perspective?
Which team?
Which team you play against? Yes.
Man, they all were tough, but I would say the one against the Sonics.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls.
Second repeat.
Yeah, the Bulls. Because we didn't. They beat us pretty good. But even the one in '91. The '91 team was pretty good too. That was their first finals, and that was my first finals. And they actually had a good team against Magic and us.
Phil Jackson wasn't the only great player in your career. You play in Seattle SuperSonics for George Karl. How do you remember your cooperation with him?
Well, it was a good one. George Karl was a great coach. He was a little different from X's and O's. He had a lot of plays, but his style of play was almost similar to Don Nelson. I don't know if you remember him from Golden State, but he played without a center. His makeup was, you have a center, but your center is not really posting up as much. Richmond and Tim Hardaway, the offense kind of catered to guards and forwards, small forwards. And the center, you know, he would screen. He would be more or less a forward. They played small. And coach, even though I wasn't small, I would play the perimeter a great deal. So when I got to Seattle, I was shooting more threes than anything. And he incorporated that because they had centers in the West, Mark Eaton, Olajuwon, David Robinson, people like that. So he was I wouldn't call him a genius, but he was a smart coach because he knew how to pull out players and get shots for guys like Hershey Hawkins, Kendall Gill, Detlef Schrempf. And he opened up the middle for Gary Payton and Sean to work. So he was clever at what he did, and that's why Sonics and Seattle had a lot of success.
One of readers, Camille, asked about who was the best coach you had during your NBA career?
We had probably my best coach. That's hard to say. I like Dick Motta and I like Mike Dunleavy. They were two great coaches. One good coach at the time was Rick Carlisle with Larry Bird. And even though Larry Bird was the head coach, Rick Carlisle did the X and O's. And Larry Bird was a phenomenal player and as well as a coach. But the guy that really taught me the game and let me flourish was Mike Dunleavy.
In Sonics, you played with Gary Payton, who we know that he was trash talk monster, killer in defense, master of passing. I still remember his alley-oops to Sean Kemp. Could you describe him as a leader and teammate?
Well, at first when I got to Seattle, he wasn't so much a leader because we had older players there. We had players who had experience. We had a guy by the name of Ricky Pierce, Eddie Johnson. Nick McMillan was more of our team leader. But as time went on, Gary became a better shooter, a better playmaker, even though he was on defense a great deal, and he did that stellar. He became more of a leader as time went on, I would say. Not till later on, to 96, somewhere 95, 96. And he became, now he's a Hall of Famer. But the thing is about him that he had to grow into that role. I don't think he wanted it at first because it was a lot of responsibility. So time went on. I believe he grew into it. He realized that this was his team, him and Sean's team, and he applied himself better, practiced harder, and it showed because he made some all-star teams. He did, defensive teams, but he applied himself more. I believe that he came out pretty good, but at first he wasn't. But I think he grew into that role and he did it well.
Last question from reader's perspective. Pavel asked, who was better in trash talking, Michael Jordan or Gary Payton?
Who was better on what?
On trash talking. We know that the both were really, really good in this.
It was definitely Gary Payton. But you know who trash talked a lot, even though the guy didn't ask, was when I played against him, Larry Bird trash talked.
Oh, okay. I have heard about this.
Yeah, Larry Bird did a lot of trash talking. But more guys, there was guys, I'll tell you, Larry Bird, Vernon Maxwell, Gary Payton, Derek Harper, and I guess today, as you can tell, would be like Westbrook, somebody like
In 1997, you attended ThreePoint Shootout in Cleveland, and in your career, you were also well known for your three-point shots. If you could create your own three-point tournament, who would you like to invite? Let's say 6 players.
I would invite Dirk Nowitzki.
Mm-hmm.
I would invite Klay Thompson, Curry, and I need another big guy. So I would probably invite Robert Horry.
Mm-hmm. So those.
Those guys it'd be very competitive.
And you spent 17 years in NBA, and which moments from your NBA career are the best and most important for you? Which moments?
Moment. I would probably say. I would have to probably say that the best time I've had with a team was with the Sonics.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was there longer. I was there for 6 years. I got acclimated within the community, and I was doing a lot of community service. And we had a nice team because of the finals. But not only that, but we had good guys. We had Detlef was my best guy that I hung out with. Perkins. I mean, we had a lot of guys come through there. Kendall Gill, and Sean, of course. But I had a great time in the city of Seattle.
You organize Sam Perkins basketball camp in Chapel Hill in North Carolina, and what kind of advice you give to the young basketball players who's got the dream to play in the NBA? What is the most important to be got such successful career and to be in the NBA and be there not only for one season but more?
Well, I think the basketball camp was designed to. I wanted to help kids understand the game, basic fundamentals. Coach Smith did a great job of teaching that: dribbling, shooting, passing, rebounding, footwork. And I wanted to create the same type of philosophy and just give kids an opportunity to play the game, because basketball and young kids were coming together a lot, and they saw this new sport. Well, not saw a new sport, but saw the opportunity that they had to play, and the parents knew that the kids wanted to play basketball or a sport. So basketball seemed pretty visible everywhere, and so with the camp being there in Chapel Hill, where I went to school, it gave me a platform. Because I went to school there, it gave me more of a platform to showcase what I knew, and with all the other coaches there as well. So it was designed to help kids just to play. There was nothing more into it other than them being competitive, understanding the game, and doing the things I did when I came up. So at Carolina, so that was our philosophy, even until this day. We didn't have it this year because of COVID, but it's been going on for now almost like 20 years or so, something like that. And kids come each year, girls too, boys and girls, and they come for a week from 9 to 3:30 every day, Monday through Friday, to just play and try to get better.
When you look at the current almost finished NBA season in the bubble, who is your favorite team to win NBA championship this year?
in LA. I don't think the East has a chance because the guy that makes a difference is Anthony Davis. And once they get rolling, each team has their weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
But in a 7-game series, you have to come at LA all the time. LA should be thankful that Golden State is not
in the bubble, yes.
Final, in the bubble, because if they were strong, they would probably everybody would have a hard time Golden State. But at the end of the day, the Clippers and LA Lakers showdown is about to come, and both teams are probably pretty much even. So you would think you give the edge to Kawhi because he plays so much D. But the offense from Anthony Davis he's hard to stop because he can shoot it from inside. He can put it on the floor, and then he also can go inside and cause havoc. So I give them the edge over the Clippers, and you really don't know if they're gonna make it today because Denver always seems to have a will to win. So that's why I say LA favorite to win.
Sam, thank you very much for time giving to OPOstories from the NBA. It was a pleasure to talk with you, especially about mid-90s, which, as I said, I started my story with the NBA. Thank you very much, and for this opportunity to talk with you about the past NBA and the current bubble season. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
All right, sir.
Goodbye.